Hi, I'm Anna, and my lightning talk is about succession planting. First, before I dive into it too much, I guess when I started researching, there's kind of two different methods of succession planting. The first being where you actually start your crop plantings in intervals. So say, start your plant on day one and then 14 days later start another seedling or transplant, so that you can have multiple harvests throughout the season. And that's what I originally assumed it was. However, there's also putting it a step further where as soon as you are done with the crop, you harvest it out, you plant in a different crop. And there's a lot of different methods behind this, but overall the goal is to increase crop availability during a growing season by using efficient timing and space. So I'm actually going to be talking more about the latter, succession planting, but yeah. So the biggest benefit behind succession planting is, having that continuous harvest throughout the season. But along with that, just utilizing your space. Space is limited and you want to make sure it goes to the best output. But there are a lot to consider when it comes to timing of crops and plants and, knowing when to plant what. So I'll dive into that right now. So you can't do succession planting with just any old crop. It has to be a crop that, well, at least your first crop has to be a crop that you can harvest out early enough in the season to make sure there's enough time left in the season to grow an additional crop in that same space. So some crops that fall in this family include bush beans, lettuces, early potatoes and carrots, onion, garlic, beets. However, it's best to kind of just do research depending on what cultivar you have. This kind of reminded me of our seedling, our cool warm season crops. Get the information to make sure it's going to work out before you do anything. Right after you finish your harvest from the first round of your crops, you're going to want to make sure to weed out anything that could have grown. You probably won't need to add any more organic matter to the soil, but I guess it wouldn't hurt to check and just make sure, but prep the soil to get ready for round 2 of planting. So now you need to get your next crop in the soil as soon as possible. Your season is shortened, so you want to get them growing as soon as you can. As you can see in this picture, it is a little chart of different things you can follow your original crop with. I don't know if this chart was made with Minnesota growing season in mind, so take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. But there are a lot of factors you got to consider for your second crop. The first one being making sure that you have enough time left in the growing season for it to reach its harvest period. Maybe check out when the last frost or the first frost will be coming, how it can do if it has to go into fall, because that will be bringing in, a decreasing day length, which means a decreasing soil temperature, which, not all plants can work with. Another thing you need to consider is, if it can go in as a seed or if it's going to have to come from a transplant. And that all depends on how much time you suspect you'll need, but if it does have to come from a transplant, you could either buy that or, you yourself start that indoors however many weeks before you plan on planting it out. So this takes a lot of organization and planning. Definitely not an easy project, but definitely, in my opinion, worth it. So the biggest tip that I kept coming across while doing research for succession planting was to be organized. As you can see from this image, it's kind of a schedule that has it all planned out. You need to get your cultivar information figured out, what it needs, how long it grows, and I think you could have a lot of success with a well-planned schedule. So I hope that this works for you if you could choose to do it.